The people of South Florida now have one less airline.
A sudden end of an era. Spirit shut down.
But we want to be here for the people of South Florida.
But now, other airlines are trying to fill the void.
We've been in the air since 1983. What is that? 43 years. And unfortunately, that's over.
Months after the Spirit closure sent shockwaves throughout the industry, questions remain about the future of low-cost air travel.
We saw, obviously Spirit and the challenges it faced, and, we want to make sure that is not JetBlue. And looking forward to, ramping from 130 flights, today to 150 by the end of the year.
So yeah, that's the CEO of JetBlue talking about the expansion plans here at South Florida airports after its former competitor, of course, you may remember, Spirit shut down and filed for bankruptcy. One point to add, though, when it comes to this ongoing saga is that you may remember that JetBlue and Spirit were negotiating a merger deal a couple years ago, but then the feds rejected that back in March of 2024.
We never like to see, obviously, an airline like Spirit liquidate, but we want to be here for the people of South Florida, for the Spirit team members, hiring many of them into JetBlue, and looking forward to growing and being the carrier for South Florida. It presents a wonderful opportunity for JetBlue to grow South Florida, to make it, really our second home. We're going to be at 130 flights this week. When you compare that to where we were last year, we were at about 70 flights, so almost double where we were last year.
No surprise now, JetBlue wants to be the go-to airline now that Spirit is no longer an option for travelers here in South Florida and across the country. People had a lot to say about this closure on social media. One person commented on our Instagram post, and I quote here, "I loved it. Day trips with my kids to New York made possible, and everyone was lovely, on time, no cancels, easiest terminals. We'll miss it dearly." And then, of course, on social media, there were others who just weren't very fond of the low-cost carrier. One person telling us, sadly, Spirit wasn't doing a great job or great service. I used them once and said, not anymore. Certainly, no matter how you feel, the Spirit shutdown left a huge dent in the airline industry.
Everyone loves to hate Spirit until they leave the market and then prices go up. And we've seen this in city after city. When Spirit left the market, in places like Minneapolis, Delta raised fares in that market by 50% in some cases, almost immediately. So unfortunately, when a low-cost carrier goes away, the mainline airlines raise prices. And so, yes, consumers will dramatically miss the low-cost carriers as they fade because prices go up.
So we want to know from you, have you changed how often you travel due to the flight prices? Scan the QR code here and let us know. Now let's take a look at the shocking statistics of the ripple effects felt at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport once Spirit shut down. Over 5,000 planned flights gone for the rest of 2026. Spirit was Fort Lauderdale Airport's top carrier for 6 years in a row. That meant nearly 11 million passengers use Spirit to come in and out of Fort Lauderdale every single year. But now, with Spirit gone, roughly 60 destination routes had to be replaced overnight with news of the shutdown. But that's nothing compared to what it did to South Florida job market. Take a look at these numbers. At FLL alone, over 2,500 Spirit employees lost their jobs, with 181 losing their jobs at MIA. And across South Florida, over 3,000 jobs were eliminated. And then over at Spirit's now shut down headquarters in Dania Beach, 551 corporate employees no longer have jobs. So you can see the effects were resounding throughout the entire state of Florida as a rough total of 5,000 jobs were lost across the state.
So we've not only seen JetBlue really swoop into the South Florida market, but we've also seen other low-cost carriers add flights, including Breeze, Allegiant, Avelo, some of the carriers you haven't heard of that are trying to fill the gap. And then the big airlines also have come in a little bit. They're expanding their Florida flying. Florida is a very lucrative market. So prices have come up overall because of higher jet fuel prices. So consumers shouldn't expect a huge deal. But I will say the price increases have not been as bad as they could have with the going away of Spirit. So I think there's some good news in here for consumers because so many other airlines have added flights into that market. So I think prices are not going to jump too much higher than they are already.
Obviously, the fuel price is probably the biggest headwind to low fares at this point. Fuel and labor are our two top costs, and we need to make sure we cover both of those costs. We want to be a sustainable enterprise. Fares are really important. It's how you generate demand. It's how you get people to try you. It's how you get people to fall in love with JetBlue. And so we're very mindful that we need to have low fares, even in the face of elevated fuel prices, and at the same time deliver great value on board.
So JetBlue says now it plans to have 370 connections from Fort Lauderdale with more flights to Latin America, like places like Colombia and Venezuela. I'm Hatsavalla for NBC6 News.